Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kubernetes SIG IBMCloud meeting today on October 24, 2018. I am Sahdev Zala, and here on the call with two other co-chair, Khalid Ahmed and Richard Theis. Please keep in mind that this is a public meeting and it's being recorded, and this recording will be made available on the YouTube. So please be considerate of what you say. I have just put the link for the agenda in the chat. And if you have any other item while you talk, please feel free to add there. I also want to mention a couple of things before we start. That Open Source Summit, which is one of the big flagship summit from Linux Foundation, is happening in Scotland. So there are lots of folks are out there. And from IBM side, IBM is, I think, platinum sponsor for this conference. So lots of IBMers are there. And some of them are our regular meeting attendees, so we cannot miss them. I am going to go look into the agenda, and we have a couple, three items. And before we go on the two items, one more thing I think we can just talk in the beginning is appreciate that Khalid has put a topic for overview on multi-cloud manager, an announcement which was recently happened. But due to lack of more attendees, we were just talking that we should be going into the next one for the benefit of a broader crowd. So that's something we will do. And I'm trying to just update the comments in the agenda. Other than that, the first item we have in agenda is updates on provider code progress, and Richard is working on that. He already started some work. So Richard, if you would like to give update on that, that would be great.
Sure. So as you're aware, the cloud provider logic in Kubernetes is undergoing some transition here. Nothing critical on any cloud provider's part that had to get done in 1.12 release. But in 1.13, they're working on some bigger refactors. Ultimately, goal is to take all in-tree providers out. We're already out of tree, so there's no action required on our end in that sense because we're already out of tree. But they're changing the interfaces, and what like to do is bring everybody that's in tree and all the people that are out of tree into a common footing, I would say, right? So that the location of the source code for all these cloud providers is in a certain repository. It's designed around the certain set of interfaces that they want to put together. So everybody's on equal footing from that standpoint, and then everybody can contribute to those interfaces and testing of those interfaces on the releases, so we can post your test results. Now, where we stand in this, and as IBM cloud provider, is that at this point, the last I did was get us on the cloud provider spreadsheet for tracking for the community SIG cloud provider group. And I told them that my next step and our next step needs to be we need to get approval to open source with our cloud provider. And this would be our approval, IBM legal approval to do this. So once we obtain that, which is on my next to-do list in the 1.13 timeframe, is then we can start actually making our code changes and pushing the code out to that community repo and open source, and working to build that in that new framework underneath the new plan they have for all cloud providers. So short term, legal approval is our next step. And then I envision a point in time where we are, like almost all cloud providers are today, where they are developing both their in-tree provider and the one they have open sourced in the separate repo. A lot of them are having to do concurrent development on both of them as they work towards moving to the general path forward, which is the out-of-tree structure. So I think we're end up going to having to do the same. I look towards Kube 1.14 as our time frame of when we could hopefully have that transition done and using the code we have upstream. So we're in the early stages, and it will be, with 1.13 being a very short release, it's actually, they have GA in about 6 weeks. So we're not going to get a ton done by then.
Yep, absolutely. So no, that was a good, great updates, Richard. Thank you so much. And it was actually good to know. So current cloud provider codes, they have codes in the, I think, Kubernetes repo, but they are sort of moving under the cloud as they move, right? Under cloud provider, it's basically a different tree structure. So some work is there for them as well. Yep. So I think sounds good, right? I mean, we're doing whatever we can to move forward with this plan, and once we have all this internal processes, we pass through them. We should have it out there. So that sounds good. I mean, just quick question on that. And again, I think the approval, that's the short-term first step we need to pass, like we said, before we do anything. So with 1.14 goal, if we get approval sooner than later, right, depending how things go, some skeleton, you think we can have that? And if we don't, able to move all the code out there, we can just have, I think, some skeleton out there, right? Maybe during 1.13 time frame, if it can be done. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I envision the biggest piece that we have is our load balancer support. So we could put a skeleton out there. We could not have the load balancer out there to start with as we work towards getting there. So I definitely agree. This is going to take a approach where we have to balance that transition, because ultimately we only want one code base. So I want to be able to build either what we have internally or what we have out there and provide it with our product or our managed service, right? We have to make some changes in our managed service for IKS to make sure we are going to the transition and actually using the cloud controller manager versus where we are building in tree now, or building the way we build is a little bit different. So there's still a lot of open questions in the community as well on how this will all work. So I'm not interested. I've hesitated to be on the bleeding edge of all that because I didn't have a lot of time to deal with those changes.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm trying to add in the notes, but that's a good point too. That for existing cloud provider code, it's still they're going through a lot of things, right? Like questions, like you said. So.
Yeah, and they do acknowledge from the SIG cloud provider meetings, one of the things that is important for us and for other cloud providers is how do we make the transition, not only from where you're putting the code, but actually somebody running a cluster today and they want to upgrade, and that upgrade takes them to the code base that's out of tree, right? How does that work seamlessly, right? We need to make that work right, because we can't take outages on those upgrades. There certainly could be migration actions, but we have to make them reasonable.
Yep, absolutely. No, that makes sense. So no, sounds good, Richard. I think that sounds pretty good. Thank you so much. And the second topic is actually, it's a little related in the agenda. I had added, and it's great that you are here, Khalid is here, and also have Dennis. if he has any feedback on that as well. Shanghai KubeCon is coming up soon. It's I think 2.5 weeks from now, and we have 2 sessions for the cloud. Our SIG. One is introduction. The second is deep dive. And I just started working on the content for both the sessions. So, introduction, that seems pretty straightforward. I don't see, we need to worry too much. We have enough materials, things we've been doing, right? Structure and whatnot. We also have charter merge. There are still a lot of things working on it. So we have merge. So that's something we will cover as well. But more for the deep dive sessions. One of the things I wanted to mention was the cloud provider, and we'll mention the progress, right, as part of the discussion, that where we are, what we're doing in that space, all the things, Richard, you mentioned, some of the challenges in the cloud provider SIG as well, as it's happening. And the other things I've been thinking is, cover some of the topics as we've been discussing in all the last few meetings we've been having, right, last few months. Some of the overview things, so we can sort of briefly, present that to the audience there, that what we've been discussing, right? Do you guys have any other thoughts, or as anyone, putting yourself as an attendee and would like to see, that, hey, this is something good we should do?
Could you mention what the topics again that you were going to have at the next KubeCon?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, Dennis, all the SIGs in Kubernetes, especially, I think it's all of the SIGs, cloud provider SIGs and the other SIGs, they basically get 2 topics, 2 sessions. It's kind of a privilege. One is introduction session. So that's the one where the SIG leads typically do it, right? They update the attendees about, about the SIG structure and whatnot. So just general information about the SIG, and then sort of question and answer at the end for folks to, if there are, much interest from the folks to be a member in the future, kind of things. And then other session is deep dive. So that's more about, whatever the activities we're doing in the SIG, just going a little bit deeper in that. And that's more like a technical discussion. So those are the 2 sessions, typically, 30 to 40 minute sessions. And I think we have like 2 different days, November 13 and 14. And then we're going to have the same sessions in the Seattle as well. So pretty much all KubeCons. Yep. Sorry, go ahead, please.
Okay. So it's just general stuff about, because I'm thinking is it just general things, or is it anything to try to get people excited about IBM Cloud and things like that?
No, that's a good question. Again, it's more, considering the open source side of it, the Kubernetes side of it, right? Like what we've been doing in that space. I'm definitely, all the cloud providers, they mention what they've been doing, making people excited about, their cloud. That's totally valid, a discussion there. But it's again, more focused on how we are embracing Kubernetes, right? And the ecosystem around it.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. It might be useful to highlight some of the other newer workloads like Watson and so on, that are like blockchain, that we're putting onto Kubernetes. I'm speaking from the private cloud side. So that might be another interesting kind of set of scenarios to talk about.
Yeah, that definitely.
And then there's
Khalid, I'm sorry, but I couldn't hear you. Can you hear me?
things like the SIG app and the cluster registry and all those components. So how we view them and are leveraging them and extending them might be good topics.
Absolutely. Can you please repeat the last couple sentences you mentioned of the SIG app and registry kind of things?
SIG app,
able to hear.
cluster registry, I think were the main ones. We're also doing some work on policy as well. That might be useful to share with the broader community.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I think the both are very good points, Khalid. Thanks. Definitely, people would like to know how we are using the cloud for Watson and blockchain, right? Mm-hmm. That's definitely good stuff. Matter of fact, last couple of days we had a conference here, local in Raleigh. Around 3,000 attendees, and people had they were trying to relate, cloud and other things. So Watson, blockchain on cloud. Lots of questions actually on that side. So, yeah, and the other SIG app and cluster registry policies, I think that would be good technical discussion as well. So we're going to have a Guang Gia helping out with some of the covering
on the cluster, multi-cluster stuff.
Yes, yep, and he's also a contributor to that federated cluster, right?
Yep, he can help talk about some of those things.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's what I'm working with. But those couple points you mentioned, definitely I will check out with him, and or basically once we have some material ready, we'll be out there for on sort of publicly available to all SIG members, right? So I will update that soon as well.
And also, is there a standard party line that IBM gives out that basically answers the question, why should you go to IBM, to do your Kubernetes versus any other vendors who are doing the same type of thing? Because I'm sure they probably have their own SIGs as well, right?
That is correct. Yes. So all the big cloud provider, they have their own SIG, and as Richard was mentioning in the beginning, right, there is another SIG even called cloud provider. And that's where all of other SIGs are sort of consolidating eventually under the big umbrella as a sub project.
Okay.
Yep. So I mean, typically there is no such discussion as why this cloud is better than other cloud. Nobody typically do that, or that's sort of not a that's more like, I guess, commercial side discussion kind of things. But
okay.
But it's valid to highlight the capabilities of a particular cloud, right? For IBM Cloud SIG, that's what we're going to talk.
Even for just 2 minutes, because first of all, why do I even want to be here? Do I even want to be in this SIG? At this meeting here. When you go to KubeCon, because there are so many things the participants get to go to, and I kind of want to know, when you step in the door, are you even in the right place? Do you care about any of this stuff? And then you start talking about the things that are specific to IBM Cloud. Because maybe you don't care about the stuff that IBM Cloud is doing. Maybe you're looking for one that does a particular thing. It's almost like each of the SIGs do their own special thing. And I'm just wondering, what's the one that would make me want to go to this one versus, going to the other SIGs?
Yep, absolutely. That's a good question. To me, if you are coming to, if you're going to any SIG, especially cloud provider SIGs, you have a little understanding about that particular cloud, right?
I see. So you're already married to them for a moment. You're already using them, so you just want to get an update. Then maybe that's
right. So either you are using it or you are interested, based on your knowledge, right? I mean, the SIG itself, right? So all the SIGs, and that not just us, right? Mm-hmm. So it's more about, what are the activities we do in the SIG, right? Like some of the things we do as an overview, right? Talking about some of the new things as it's happening, like one of the topic today, which we moved to the next meeting, multi-cloud manager, right? Talking a little bit about that as Khalid prepared. But, and other activities we're doing in the SIG, I think that's what we want to highlight more. And that should be the one which should, create more interest in the audience, right? That, hey, I am either using IBM Cloud already, or we are interested into it. What are the activities this SIG do, right? And is it something provides me a learning opportunities? Does it provide me any question answer kind of opportunities, right? If I have any problems, not again commercial side, more on open source Kubernetes side, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So those are the things I think we want to highlight more that sort of create an interest within attendees for even attending this. Not just attending is not possible for everyone, but keeping an eye on what we're doing, right? Attending if possible, becoming a Google group member for the SIG. Asking. I mean, we do have and Richard, correct me if I'm wrong, but we do get questions in Khalid as well, right? We do get questions once in a while on SIG IBMCloud Slack channel. Those are not the people who are going to attend our, this meeting, but they do ask question on the,
yeah, okay.
Slack, right? Yep.
Thanks.
Yep, no problem, no problem. Hey, Brad.
Hi, Sada. Sorry for being late.
No problem. Glad you could join. So welcome. We've been just to update you, Brad, real quick, since we don't have a whole lot of folks on the call. A couple of things we've been talking. Richard provided updates on the cloud provider code, which we are working on open sourcing it.
Yep.
And then we were talking about just getting ready for the KubeCon Shanghai, the presentations for the cloud SIG.
Fantastic.
Right. And then Khalid prepared for multi-cloud manager overview, but again, both of us, actually all three of us, thought that the next meeting would be better, having more folks for that everyone's benefit, right? So, so
good
that's
stuff.
where we are.
Cloud manager, though, that's good stuff.
Yeah, that was a big announcement. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think those are the couple good topics we had in the agenda.
Okay.
I'm gonna update the minutes for some of the question answers we had on the SIG presentation side from Dennis. But other than that, anything else? Anything else we want to discuss? And yeah, one thing for everyone, our new book on Kubernetes, Enterprise Kubernetes from Brad and Michael Alder, Jack Kishner. IBMCloud SIG is mentioned there and what we do. So
you got friends in high places.
Nice.
Great.
Friends in high places.
Yep.
You should have that out at
Safari? Is the book on the Safari the one that I guess why IBM we get a free membership to Safari? Is the book there?
No, it's off the O'Reilly site. There is a free link that you just give your email address and you can have you can get it electronically online free, or you can just email me and I'll send you the PDF.
Okay.
I'll just send it to you if that's the easiest. But it is available all free, compliments of IBM to anyone who wants it. So,
good.
Then we'll start printing paperbacks at the end of the month. So it's been really popular.
Could you drop the name in the chat here, and I'll go look for it?
Oh, you want the link for where to go pull down the book?
Just the name of the book here.
Well, that won't help you. Let me get to the link. It'll make your life a lot easier.
Okay, sounds good.
We should hand out copies at KubeCon.
Oh, we are. I'm doing book signings.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and then we're also, so that's all set up. Give me one sec.
Mm-hmm. I assume the book is basically on just the focuses on the IBM offerings for Kubernetes. Then
book covers a lot of area. It starts with a nice, good introduction and overview for Kubernetes, and then it goes into the advanced topics. And then, as part of the advanced topics, we do cover IBM Cloud, Kubernetes Service, and IBM Cloud Private.
That sounds great.
So it kind of does a mix. When you do something like that, you want people to get benefit out of it both ways. We'd like them to learn a little bit about IBM, but we also would love them to, get benefit even if they didn't. So I think we did a really nice job with the balance of it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You just want to go to that link and get it. If for any reason that's down, just harass me and I'll send you the PDF. I do have it.
Okay, cool. So I just put my email address in there. Okay, that sounds great. Thank you for that link.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that was good. Good side topic. Good to know. And SIG is mentioned there, so that's great. Anything else? Anything else we want to talk today? I mean, if not, then I think that this was a good, quick discussions, updates, very helpful. So that's it. It seems like we have good topics for next couple 3 meetings as well now. So that's another good outcome of the meeting. So that's great. But yeah, I think let's call this a meeting. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
you.
Yep.
Bye.
This was the,
Bye-bye.
yep. All right. Bye, everyone.